Hi everybody! Today we'll take a look at the ground vehicles available in War Thunder at Tier 3 of the Italian Tech tree. We will specifically talk about light and medium tanks available. If you want to see vehicles of the previous tiers, click on the right upper corner. This is the M24. You can find this vehicle at Tier 3 at BR 3.3. It has a 5-man crew, commander, driver, gunner, loader and machine gunner. The armor is 25.4mm in the front of the hull and 38.1mm in the front of the turret, while the sides are between 25.4mm and 12.7mm. It is armed with a 75mm M6 gun, a M2 HB 12.7mm machine guns on the roof, and a M1919 A4 7.62mm coaxial machine gun. The main gun can fire the M72 AP armor-piercing shot, the M48 HE high-explosive shell, the M61 APC-BC armor-piercing capped ballistic capped shot, and the M63 smoke round. Italy received this light tank after the end of World War II via the Military Assistance Program in a total of 512 units starting from 1950, arming scout brigades, armor division and more. It was used up to 1971 as a training vehicle. In service, the Italian army soon took away the side skirts of the tank, even if this characteristic isn't reflected in game. This is the Breda 501. You can find this vehicle at Tier 3 at BR 4.0. It has a 5-man crew, commander, driver, gunner, loader and machine gunner. The armor is 30mm in the front of the hull, while 40mm driver sport, while the gun shield is 30mm for the center and 15mm for the edges. The side of the hull is 8mm. It is armed with a 90mm 1953 Mod 41 gun and 2 backward-firing 8mm Breda Mod 38 machine guns. The main gun can fire the Granata Perforante da 90 and the Granata Perforante Mod 43 APC-BC armor-piercing capped ballistic capped shot and the Granata da 90 HE high-explosive shell. The Breda 501 was born from the experience in the African deserts, where the Italian army quickly saw the anti-tank potential of its 90mm AA gun. Breda took the design of a utility truck and placed protective armor on it. In 1943, despite the Breda 501 proving itself in testing, the project was cancelled due to capitulation later that year, leaving only a few prototypes as completed units, without ever starting full-scale production. Strangely, one of the back machine gunner in-game is listed as loader. This is the M18, called in Italian service Semovente Controcarri M18. You can find it at Tier 3 at BR 5.7. It has a 5-man crew, commander, driver, gunner, loader and machine gunner. The armor of the hull is 12.7mm all round, while the turret front is 25.4mm and the gun mantlet is 19 plus 25.4mm thick. It is armed with a 76mm M1 cannon and a roof-mounted M2 HB 12.7 machine gun. The main gun can fire the N62 APC-BC armor-piercing capped ballistic capped shot, M42A1 HE high-explosive shell, the M79 armor-piercing shot and the M88 smoke round. Thanks to its high speed and anti-tank capabilities, it can be used for hit and run tactics, rendering it very appealing for the Italian army post-World War II. As a matter of fact, it's placed an order for 289 units that started to be delivered in 1952. Soon the army removed the front and rear mudguard. This vehicle was often used by the artillery regiments, and in some picture can be seen with a BAR light machine gun attached to the barrel during exercises. We now move to the medium tanks, the first of which is the M4A4. You can find it at Tier 3 at BR 3.7. It has a 5-man crew, commander, driver, gunner, loader and machine gunner. The armor in the front of the hull is mainly 50.8mm, with the viewport being 50.8 plus 25.4mm and the MG port being 34 plus 25.4mm. The turret front is 76mm, while the gunner side being 50.8mm and the gun mantlet being 50.8 plus 88.9mm thick. It is armed with the 75mm M3 cannon and the M1919A4 7.62mm coaxial machine gun. The main gun can fire the M72 AP armor-piercing shot, the M48 HE high-explosive shell, the M61 APC BC armor-piercing capped ballistic capped shot, and the M89 smoke shell. The M4A4, as many other variants of the Sherman tank, entered service with the Italian army post-World War II. This model was actually called the M4 Tipo 5, and in-game it is modeled as an early version because Italy, sometimes during the service of this tank, replaced the Chrysler multibank with the more reliable Continental air-cooled engine. This is the M4 Tipo 1C. You can find it at Tier 3 at BR 4.7. It has a 5-man crew, commander, driver, gunner, loader and machine gunner. The armor of the front of the hull is 50.8mm thick, while the turret is between 50mm and 76.2mm, while the gun mantlet is 38.1 plus 38.1mm thick. It is armed with a 76mm 17-pounder cannon, one M2 HB 12.7mm machine gun on the roof, and one L3A1 coaxial machine gun. The main gun can fire the Mark 6 AP armor-piercing shot, the Mark 1 HE high-explosive shell, the Mark 4 APC armor-piercing capped shot, the Mark 8 APC BC armor-piercing capped ballistic capped shot, and the 17-pounder SS Mark 1 smoke shell. Italy received this tank once it entered NATO in 1947, and some got scrapped in 1952. This version has a M4 hull with the front of the M4A1 welded to it, so it has very similar performance to the other Firefly tanks. This tank is also commonly known as the Sherman Composite or the M4 Firefly Hybrid. In Italian service, the C after the number indicates the M4 that used the 17-pounder gun. This is the M4 Tipo 5C. You can find it at Tier 3 at BR 5.0. It has a 5-man crew, commander, driver, gunner, loader and machine gunner. The armor of the front of the hull is 50.8mm thick, while the turret is between 50mm and 76.2mm, while the gun mantlet is 50.8 plus 88.9mm thick. It is armed with a 76mm 17-pounder cannon, one M2 HB 12.7mm machine gun on the roof and one L3A1 coaxial machine gun. The main gun can fire the Mark 6 AP armor-piercing shot, the Mark 1 HE high-explosive shell, the Mark 4 APC armor-piercing capped shot, the Mark 8 APC BC armor-piercing capped ballistic capped shot, the SV Mark 1 APDS armor-piercing discarding sabot shot, and the 17-pounder SS Mark 1 smoke shell. Italy received this tank together with many other Shermans in 1947, and some got scrapped in 1952. This version is called 5C, where the 5 indicates the M4A4 hull with a Chrysler engine, while the C indicates the 17-pounder gun. This M4 is very similar to other Firefly in-game. The main difference is the SV Mark 1 shot, that is the round with the most penetrating performance available to any Firefly in-game.